With this officially being the year of the prospect, there are so many more that are going to be called up, and Matt and I have pinpointed 10 of those prospects that we think you need to keep your eye on coming out of the All-Star break on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, please make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would appreciate it if you could do that as well. And lastly, but what's most importantly to you guys and Matt and I, give us a chance on the Insider's Track. Through the Insider's Track, listen, when these prospects get called up, Matt and I got you covered there with the quick notifications through a text message alert going right to your phone. You're not getting that anywhere else in the industry. So give us a chance on the Insider's Track, where we offer so much more than we can in these 30-minute episodes. The link is in the bio where you're listening, watching, and it's available on our social media platforms. And all right, Matt, it's been the year of the prospect. So many amazing prospects have been called up so far. And you know what? There's still a lot more. I'm going to preface this. We got 10 names for you guys today. We're not going to talk about guys like Bubba Chandler or Kevin McGonigal, who we've covered very, very recently. Just go look back at our past few episodes. Those guys have been very thoroughly covered. So we're not going to talk about them. We got 10 other names for you today. And Matt, why don't you take the wheel and tell us where we're going first?
All right, so we're going to go with one of my favorite pitching prospects, if not the best pitching prospect, in my opinion, and that's Andrew Painter. Quite honestly, Andrew Painter has the ultimate control. At least prior to essentially having TJ, he had insane control of his pitches, the direction it moves, direction it goes, all that wonderful stuff. Honestly, he just had amazing command. He had a fastball that was lights out, a slider that was out, and a changeup. Everything about him was great up until TJ. Since returning from TJ, it's been a little bit monstrous in terms of wreaking havoc on his stats and on his outlook of what his future could look like, in all honesty. I mean, even over the last 10 games, he's posting a 5.19 ERA, over 14 starts, and 59 innings. Even though the strikeouts are great at 63 to 59, he's given up 12 home runs in that time. Things just aren't jiving as well. I feel like with Andrew Painter, we just need to be cautiously optimistic. So my I would say professional purview is this. One of two things are going on with Andrew Painter. Either the control is just not there because of TJ, and we one of our rules when a player is returning from TJ, the control is one of the things back. Or two, they're working on a new release for him for arm safety, comfortability, and trying to find a happy medium between performance and safety for him pitching, which I could also see happening. So that could also reflect on the stat sheet. And we've seen that countless times. Pitching prospects that have, bad ERAs and things like that every year prior to the year that they're about to get called up. You'll see a 4 ERA, a high 3s ERA, a 5 ERA for a season. And then, it's 2025, they pitch 40 innings and they have a sub 2 ERA and they're absolutely monsters to get the call and they're just great. It's because those were the development years where they're working on stuff. And that also could be what's going on with Andrew Painter. Now, this is speculation, no true reports, but most likely the probable one. That's the side I'm leaning on. I'm going to still have faith in Andrew Painter. I'm still going to essentially stat him. Otherwise, that he's not going to make an appearance this year. But dude is actually a monster if he's actually the pitches can move in a full 360 in whichever place he wants. He does have the ultimate movement on all his pitches, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Andrew Painter could be filthy. Mustache.
Yeah, Matt, good solid takedown on Painter. He's the number 9 prospect in all of baseball. He's the Phillies' number 1 prospect. It's only 16 starts for him this year. And you say, Dom, 16 starts sounds like a lot. Let's not forget, Painter did not pitch at all in 2023 or 2024. So that's 2 years of no baseball for a guy. That's tough. Those prime years of development. He was obviously, like Matt said, on ace level, path before the injury. But, I still think there's a path for him being top 30 starting pitcher, for fantasy, down the line, maybe even higher if he can really figure it out. Like Matt said, with that control situation, still has elite pitches. I think it takes an injury, for him to crack that rotation, because that rotation's pretty solid at the moment. Matt, they got Walker back in there, right? I think that Walker's back in the rotation at this point. I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, with maybe he could take Taijuan Walker's spot. I don't think it goes back to McAble. They gave Abel the shot. Abel wound up, having a tough run of it there towards the end of his showing in the bigs. So I think Painter is up next for, the Phillies when it comes to starting pitching. Definitely a mustache, because even though the stats have not shown it so far this year down in the minors, Painter's got really, really high upside. So, there's a reason he's the 9th prospect in baseball right now. And then even if you take out guys like Roman Anthony, Chase Burns, it moves him up even higher. So, Caglione, who has the call, so move him up 3 spots. So he's around the 6th prospect in all of baseball, actually, Andrew Painter is. But let's keep things rolling. Let's move down this list and talk about this next guy, who I guess that makes him 7th, right? Samuel Basalo, catcher, first baseman prospect for the Orioles. Having another solid season down in the minors, like he's been doing pretty much his whole career. This year in AAA, Basalo is hitting .264 over 62 games with 40 runs, 11 doubles, 19 homers, 48 RBIs, 39 walks to 55 strikeouts, which is excellent. And no steals. I mean, he can steal a base here or there. He's not really known for his speed. I think he had, 10 steals last year. More of a guy, if they're going to send him, he'll run. He's not super quick or anything like that. He's pretty solid, with his arm, throws guys out, so that's going to keep him out there, even though his glove needs a little bit of work. But this is a guy who's got big-time power. I don't know if the Orioles hang on to him. I'm going to be honest with you, with Adley there. They got Mountcastle and what's the other dude's name over there that was raking a little bit? Ryan O'Hearn. So it's not like there's necessarily a super sneaky spot for him to get up there. But listen, with the trade deadline, right around the corner, the Orioles, I think, in my opinion, are one of those teams that have to make a big time move. And we could see a few prospects from the Orioles, system on the move. They have an abundance of them. Basalo could be that. And listen, I know catching, we've had some guys come out of nowhere. We've had the Hunter Goodmans. And if you listen to me, Ivan Herrera is having a monster, even though he's been hurt a lot. So catching has been plentiful this season. But I still like Basalo. I would go out there and, just throw him on the watch list right now. This kind of is what this episode's about. These are guys that we think have a shot, coming up, helping, making a fantasy impact for your team, down the stretch. And Basalo is definitely one of those guys with the profile. Definitely can hold you a little bit in batting average, power, doubles, good for points leagues. And really depends if he comes up with the Orioles or he goes somewhere else for the counting stats. But definitely is a reason he's the number 7 prospect in all of baseball right now.
Yeah, I like Basalo. Basalo is honestly like a true power hitter. The sneaky part's going to be, especially when he gets called up, is he's going to have catcher eligibility, even though he'll probably end up playing first. And that is the key part for me. It's like that kind of like that Henry Davis kind of cheat code, except, this guy probably will pan out on like Henry Davis in all honesty. And that's kind of like the one of the parts I really like about with Basalo, that and the fact that I feel like this is the right park and the right team to do it. And the only thing that might change his outlook is depending on if he gets moved at the trade deadline. The other side of the coin is, essentially Baltimore is in a point where, they should probably start bringing in some veterans and some solid bats into the young lineup, because they could probably afford it for a few more years. And Basalo could be also moved at the trade deadline and see where he lands, because make it even better. So we'll see. But coming up next, we got guys like Bryce Eldridge, Thomas White, and others that you're going to want to know who to stash. Are they actually going to get called up this year? So much more coming up after this.
And all right, guys, get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And listen, guys, that to me, that is just so important with customer service. Those robots, we don't got time for all that. We need to actually get some human-to-human interaction, right? And if you're, a specific trade pro looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5, 5% off your first order. And once again, you're going to do all of that on supplyhouse.com. And guys, one more thing before we move on, get back into those prospects that you're going to want to hear about. Give Matt and I a chance on the insider track. Listen, we're going to give you, when all of these guys get called up, you're going to get that instant notification through a text message alert on your phone, letting you know they've been called up, so you can to your team before anybody else in your league. Also, when we do our waiver wire episodes, we're going to rank those guys for you and tell you how you should prioritize picking them up and give you a few extra stats that we didn't talk about in the episode that are going to give you some support on why we're ranking them that way. And you can ask us any of our questions with the trade deadline coming up. I know you guys have some trade questions that you're going to want to ask. So join Matt and I on the Insiders track. Listen, it's going to be great. Link is in the bio wherever you're listening and watching, available on any of our social media platforms. But all right, Matt, let's keep things pushing here. You want to take this next guy?
Yeah, I got it. Already have him queued
Let's go
up.
for it.
Bryce Eldridge of the San Francisco Giants. Now, he got the promotion this year, already up in play, which is great. Looking mighty stout, through 16 games, 61 at bats, 5 runs, 3 doubles, 3 bombs, 13 ribs, 30, but it's okay. His OPS is actually 710. The slug is a 426. So, there's some positive signs here. I don't always strictly look at the walk and strikeout and BA and to kind of see what's exactly going on. When he was in Double A, he was absolutely crushing it too. He had 7 bombs through 34 games and 5 at bats. He had 20 ribs and 8 doubles and 14 runs. Batted 280. He had an OBP of 350, a slug of 512 and an OPS of 862. Like, he was completely crushing it down there. And quite honestly, too, like, he's another prospect that's quite interesting. I feel like he has a little bit of a power. He has a little bit of, speed, all that wonderful stuff. Because, look at how he's ranked on his profile. The raw power is sitting at 60 out of 80, game power 45 out of 70, and speed 45 out of 30. He's really good. A lot of above average, projections for him. And I like it a lot. I think that it's somebody that you should be stashing. If he does get the call, there obviously is room in that lineup. It's just a matter of if they plan on moving him, or if all those weird rumors come around that they're actually going to move the guy they just traded for, and see if they're just going to go with the young stud. So let's see what happens. I think that they're in a rush to see what they have, whether it's with Devers, without Devers, and to see what they can go about getting and whatnot. So that's really just it. I think you must stash him at this point.
Yeah, man, I love me some Bryce Eldridge too, and we, San Fran's a big park, but there's anyone that's going to hit tanks in there, it's going to be Bryce Eldridge. He's 6'7", 240, mountain of a man. I have a comp for him, another big lefty, not 6'7", but kind of reminds me of Cody Bellinger a little bit. When Cody Bellinger came up, big power. Not necessarily I don't think he's gonna be a great batting average guy, but could be like a 260-ish guy. In that lineup, the counting stats might not be great, but I still think he could hit 30 home runs plus in that park. And San Francisco never stays bad for long. It's a big market over there. They've won World Series not too long ago. So I think that team pulls it together pretty soon. And if Bryce Eldridge gets the call, if he gets it going down there in AAA, starts, getting that batting average up, hitting more tanks, I don't see how he doesn't at least get a cup of coffee. And once he gets called up, for me personally, he's gonna be a must-add kind of guy. But Matt, you did a great job breaking him down. I'm just gonna move on to this next guy. And you know what, Matt? We're gonna switch. I'm gonna give you your guy. I'll take my guy. I'm gonna talk about Travis Sakura here. Talked about him about 2 or 3 weeks ago. one of the quickest rising prospects in the MLB. He's up to the 29th prospect in all of the league. Take out about 5 or 6 names that have already been called up off that list. So I probably around 25. 12 starts this year for Sakura, a 1.79 ERA, 45 innings pitched, 79 strikeouts, only 17 walks, 0.77 whip, and batters are hitting 120 against him. And he's just been absolutely phenomenal this year. He's climbed all the way from rookie ball to Double-A. I will say this, has had a little bit of a tough going Double-A so far through his first 2 starts, not looking so sharp. But I think the Nationals are hurting for a guy like this, to come up and be in their rotation. He's 6'6", 232. He's got a big fastball, gets it up there, sits around 93 to 96, tops out around 97, has a nasty splitter that sits in the mid-80s. And he's also got another slider that, has a huge amount of drop on it, sits around 83 to 86. He's going to be good, man. He's going to be really good when he gets the call. Another guy that he's still 21, might need a little bit of a fine tuning if he can't find his footing here in Double-A. I'd say if he just, keeps getting hit around Double-A, he's not going to get the call. But if he figures it out, man, I could see him at least getting a cup of coffee at the end of the season here. And these cup of coffee kind of guys, they can win you championships. I remember, what was it, Matt, at this point, almost 10 years ago, Kyle Schwarber was a guy when he got that called up at the end of the season. I picked him up in a couple of weeks. He went off. Those kind of guys can win you championships. And I don't think even Paul Skeens, what was that, Matt, last year? When he got the call, right before the All-Star break, man, if he wasn't stashing your redraft league and you were able to snag him, league-winning pickup. I don't think Sakura's is nowhere near as good as Skeens, but definitely got to keep your eye on, especially if he could find his footing here in Double-A, because there's not much holding him back in that Washington Nationals rotation except himself.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, everything you're saying is quite honestly, right about him. I like him a lot. I just can't wait to see if, things start coming to fruition in Double-A. Double-A is usually like the training ground in Triple-A for hitters. Normally a good pitcher doesn't even make it to Triple-A. They usually just get the call. So ultimately, if Sequoia could make that, essentially take over and start picking up where he left off in Single-A, things are going to go off. So well said, Dom. I'm going to move on here. We're going to talk about Thomas White of the Miami Marlins, another great pitching prospect. I like him a lot. You look at just like everything that he's got going, Hank, things are pretty nice. So far on the year, which I'm really enjoying, is if this page would load, here we go. In Double-A, he has about 12 innings pitched. He has a 2.92 ERA, 12 innings pitched, a 1.297 whip, which is a little high, but that's high for his career. In A+, he had 1.11, so that's a lot better. Had a 2.83 ERA in there, 35 innings and 53 strike. Duke can strike out everybody and their mother. It's actually really, really fun to watch him pitch. I even found a little bit more of some advanced statistics on him, which was oddly awesome. So, he's getting great movement on his fastball and things like that. The fastball is sitting about like 95.1 miles an hour. Getting good, decent extension on his stuff. Not allowing guys to barrel at all. So, really suppressing hard contact, only allowing that 30% of the time. Whiffing guys 29.4% of the time. This is just great. Pitching in the zone, and the zone percentage is about 47.8% of the time. Everything about him is great. And then on top of that, he has everything I talk about. If you're not new to the show, you don't know much I like when a pitcher, is able to produce ground balls. It's something Thomas White does really well. So I like everything about his pitching profile and more. So, you keep looking at everything this kid's got. It's just looking better and better. Fastball 60 out of 60, sliders filthy. Even got a really nasty changeup. He's known for his command. If he gets the call, which I think it keeps going in this direction in Double-A, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And this is where you get excited, because if he even translates 75%, you're going to have a stud pitcher week in and week out. And we all know that Miami somehow comes out of nowhere with these monster pitchers. And Thomas White, I think, could be one of them.
And before I jump in and give my take on Thomas White, we got Chase DeLauter, Jonah Tong, and more coming up next.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? It's easy to lose track. I do that all the time, unfortunately. Uh, that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's my personal CFO, giving me full visibility and control over my finance money. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place so you can stop making money and start building wealth. Honestly, I don't build much wealth because even though I've been told about the food delivery and how much I spend and all this wonderful stuff that I probably should stop, but I gotta have my pizza and I gotta have, my Philly cheesesteaks. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm fat and I'm just not gonna stop ordering it. But my favorite part is the managing the money with my wife, right? She could see it, I could see it. She then when she asks me, hey, can I buy at Amazon? It's like, well, babe, check Monarch Money because look, you ordered 45 other packages from Amazon. Like, you think 46? You think we had enough here? So take so essentially it takes the control of your finances with Monarch Money and use the code locked on MLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and use the code locked on MLB for half off your first year. And all right, what about Thomas White?
Matt, honestly, you did such a fantastic job covering the kid. You really broke him down very well. I don't have too much to add here. There's room for him in Miami's rotation. There's definitely a spot for him. He gets to learn from Yuri, Eddie Cabrera, Sandy, even though Sandy's not good anymore, still knows, the game. He's been around a long time. Could definitely teach the young Thomas White a thing or two. Only concern is the control. Everything else, it looks great. He's good at suppressing runs. He's great at striking guys out, as Matt mentioned. Listen, as long as he can keep those walks to a minimum, I think he's going to be a very good young starting pitcher here for Miami. And this guy's another giant, 6'5", 240, man. Gotta love it. But let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about Chase DeLauter, outfielder for those Cleveland Guardians. One of my favorite prospects. But the big thing with him is, man, I really fear he's going to wind up being like a Mondesi or a Buxton. He's dealt with a plethora of injuries in his minor league career that have limited him. Hasn't had a full season down in the minors yet, and he's already 23. But the kid has all of the tools, man. Has a great hit tool, could hit for power, knows how to take a walk. On the season total, 42 games played. That's across two levels. That's rookie and actually AAA. He was only down in rookie ball because he was recovering from an injury. But once again, total 42 games, 264 batting average, 28 runs, 8 doubles, a triple, 7 homers, 24 RBIs, and like I said, great eye, 28 walks to 28 strikeouts. Not much of a steals guy, only 1 steal on the year. But the big thing is, I mentioned he played 8 games in rookie ball. It's horrible. Was working his way back from the injury. Since he's been up to AAA, 34 games, 278 batting average, 5 of those 7 home runs. Actually has great walk to strikeout ratio, 22 walks, 23 strikeouts. And Cleveland needs another bat in that lineup, man. They're really hurting for a guy like DeLauter to get up there and, show what he can do. Honestly, I think he could be a 280 type hitter with like 25 to maybe 30-ish home runs, good counting stats in that Cleveland lineup, that individually they're not great for fantasy baseball purposes, but as a whole, the team is actually not bad. If you can get in that lineup hitting around Jose Ramirez and maybe Stephen Kwan, who we're not a fan of on this podcast, but hey, if DeLauter can get out there and hit in that lineup, man, and stay healthy, he could be a dangerous player. He's the 34th prospect in all of baseball. Once again, take out some of these guys that have been called up, moves them up closer to the lower 20s, lower 30s, higher 20s.
Yeah, no, I like DeLauter. He's somebody that I wish would just stay at this team already. I don't want to give him an injury Maliberto Mondesi tag yet. Yes, it comes with the burden of that and the fears, but there's difference as guys get older. They learn to either man up and run some dirt on it, or 2, figure out a training mechanism that helps them stay healthy. So jury's still out on that, but the talent's definitely there. Let's move on though for time. Logan Henderson of the why is this not working for me here? Thank you.
Brewers.
Logan Henderson of the Milwaukee Brewers. We've seen seen what he can do in the bigs, and in the bigs this year has been phenomenal. He ended up doing 21 innings pitched, 29 strikeouts, 171 ERA with a whip of 0.95. So we already have a guy that's proven in the bigs that showed off, hey, he's got some serious talent. On top of that, then you look and you go, okay, what is the next? What's next, right? What does it look under the hood? Well, he was getting great movement on his off-speed pitches. Fastball was pretty decent in terms of movement, more to be elite. Doesn't have a mind-blowing, knock your socks off kind of fastball, but enough where it's still effective. He got guys to really suppress contact because he only had 88.6 miles per hour average exit velocity. Got guys to chase 33% of the time. Created the whiff 28.3% of the time. Struck out guys 35.8% of the time. Suppressed hard contact entirely at 8% of the time. Really did his thing. Wish he would produce more ground balls. That's like maybe my only thing I really have a gripe with. Now, he leaned super heavy on his four-seam fastball and his changeup. Throws his four-seam fastball 47.3% of the time in his four starts, along with throwing his changeup another 40%. He does have a cutter and slider and sinker that are also available that, the cutter wasn't really hit, which I wish he would win a little bit more, but the slider and sinker he barely threw, so I'm not even paying attention to his batting averages. But he had some his fastball and changeup that is already something that I'm loving. Now, if he can get the third pitch mixed in, he could be a true effective pitcher in the bigs. He reminds me a lot of young Jack Leiter. Got the call, just super electric, striking out everybody. Really only had two pitches, and then he'd throw in one of his pitches and pray just wouldn't get crushed. But Logan Henderson has total upside in that. And being that we saw him be effective in the bigs already, his call should be imminent and should be around the corner at any. And I want this kid on my team now than later. So I'm trying to stash Logan Henderson literally anywhere.
Matt, you've been on point today, brother. I got to give you credit. You basically said everything I would have said there about Henderson. I honestly think there's sneaky room for him in the rotation. Jose Quintana is 37 going on 86. I know he's been okay this year, but, he could get hurt at any moment. Woodruff, as much as I love him, another guy, listen, he's been great. I'm not wishing anything bad upon him. I have him in a lot of leagues. Could get hurt at any moment. Freddie Peralta, as good as he been, another guy, a little bit injury prone. The only sure thing is I think Mizorowski, and then, Quinn Priester's only 25, and he's been pretty solid this year, so I think the Brewers want to see what they have with him. And I know Nasty Nestor is on his way back, but another guy, he can get shut down at any moment. He has not the cleanest injury track record ever. So the spot for Logan Henderson is, in theory, there. Matt, you talked about how good he's been this year, and honestly, he is, let me grab his ownership percentage real quick, see where that's at. He is 20% owned on Yahoo. So I would honestly, he's probably my favorite stash out of all these guys. I think he's the closest. He's been great since he got sent back down. Must add, honestly, Matt, great call. Mustache, honestly, especially if you got NA spots and he's not owned. Let's move on to this next guy, potentially our last guy of the night. Let's talk about Jonah Tong of the New York Mets, another guy that has risen up the prospect ranks this year. He is up to the 58th prospect in all baseball. Once again, caveat, a couple of those guys ahead of him been called up, probably closer to 50. Jonah Tong, through his 15 starts in Double-A this year, 1.83 ERA, 78 innings pitched, a monstrous 125 strikeouts in 78 innings. Very Spencer Strider-esque. Batters are hitting 141 against him, and he has a 0.93 whip. This kid is really, really good, man. He's been fantastic. Big strikeout guy, knows how to get those swings and misses. Big fastball. He throws that thing sitting around 91 to 94, gets a little bit higher than that at times. But the vertical break on that fastball gets around 20 inches, man. That is some of the best that you ever seen. And then he plays off that fastball with a curveball that sits between 74 and 76. And that thing has vertical drop, which is different than vertical break, about 65 inches. And again, that's a lot of break. And then he comes in and cleans it up with a slider and a changeup that he throws as well. And he throws a Vulcan grip changeup, which is absolutely filthy. Like I said, another one of the biggest risers in the minors this year. And honestly, I think the Mets have to give this kid a shot at some point. As Matt was talking to earlier, a lot of pitchers you normally don't even, touch AAA. They kind of just can go right from Double-A to the bigs. I could see that here. This rotation, though, is a little bit locked and loaded there in New York with the Mets. Manaea has just come back. Holmes has been pretty good this season. David Peterson's been pretty good this season. Senga's had a solid season. And Montas has just come back from injury. But Manaea and Montas, not the greatest guys when it comes to health. So you know what? I think maybe if there's an injury, Tong should be up next in theory. I don't see him like surpassing any of these guys, especially with them having paid Manaea and Montas. I think they're going to be locked in there. And then I think Peterson, Holmes, and Senga kind of are what they are. They're not going to be leaving either. So I think it's going to take an injury to get Tong in there. But, man, Jonah Tong has just been so good this year. In your keeper dynasty leagues, if the Tong owner is willing to move him, I might go out there and try and acquire him. But if he's available in those kinds of formats, man, I'd grab him instantly because this kid's going to be a stud. But, guys, that is all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us